First-time voters and the influence of new parties are likely to change the political landscape in the upcoming Spanish general election. There are around 35 million eligible voters, with just over 1 million young people who could go to the polls for the first time. They have a new set of concerns.
The generation of today is very interested in gender equality, climate change and the fight against corruption of politicians.
No
extreme is good. People are very extreme on one side, very extreme on the other. And that's what scares me.
This demographic naturally faces a more complex political map.
I think it's good that there are different parties, because there are different opinions. The parties are able to talk and create pacts, which represent a majority of the population. It's a positive thing, but we must also be careful with extremism and see in which direction society is moving, because in the end, if there are more parties, it shows that society is more divided.
And they're aware of the dangers of the internet.
I believe that fake news is a terrible thing for society as a whole, something that we must fight against, and I believe it's often difficult to detect.
If you remain in the superficiality of a social network, you'll always get news that is false or not the truth.
Sociologists point out that the millennial generation is more active politically than others in recent decades because of the access to information. Their issues have begun to impact on the older generations and force new forms of political communication. This professor says the millennial generation is defined by 4 characteristics.
1 is the internet. They have socialized since birth with the internet. 2 is irreverence. They don't care anymore about the established power and go against everything. 3 is uncertainty. They don't know what their future will be. And 4 is innovation. Either they change and move on, or they don't know if they're going to have a future. They like the world we live in, liquid, changing and uncertain. So they answer without restrictions to the current issues. A political party enters into the right? Great. Why not? Then there's a party on the left that turns the whole country upside down. That's great. Why not?
Podemos was one of the parties that changed the Spanish political map after its birth in 2014. The Purple Party obtained 71 seats in Congress in the last elections. Together with Ciudadano, the 2 newcomers ended the dominance of the majority parties.
It's true that there have been things that have radically changed the panorama in terms of, for example, limiting mandates, demanding primaries for parties, eliminating the special legal protection for politicians, which are also at the centre of political debate. I believe having more political parties does distribute power in some way, but it complicates the possibilities of agreements and therefore opens up the debates, generates more debates, and I believe that this is always positive.
The polls are predicting the arrival of another new player in the lower house, Vox. They will represent the first entry in Parliament of an extreme right-wing party since the 1979 elections. The rise of such parties can be traced directly from the impacts of the economic crisis and the push for independence in Catalonia.
You have to bear in mind that normally new parties are based on emotional moments. If the emotion is lost, the party will lose support. At the moment when they can manage not only emotions, but also the day-to-day political life, their endurance will be much greater. In a situation of economic crisis in the future, it undoubtedly benefits the traditional parties, in this case the right of the Popular Party, because they are perceived as better crisis managers than new parties. New voters and new parties on the political stage will make the Spanish Parliament even more fragmented than it is now. All of them are changing the political agenda and modifying methods of communication. This will continue to evolve after the April the 28th elections.
Carlos Marlaska, Euronews, Madrid.